Hey there, Columbia 300 fans. This is your brand manager, Bugsy Kelly, coming to you a week after the Masters, where if you saw the TV show, you noticed there was a lot of success from the Columbia 300 players. We've got two major players on tour, Dan McClellan and Chris Barnes, and they were both on the TV show. I'll tell you a little bit how we got there. Throughout the week, Dan used a couple different balls, most notably the Dark Encounter and the Ransom Demand. We used the Dark Encounter when we needed the ball to be a little bit earlier for him and control the back of the lane. Later on in blocks, when the lane started to get a little bit drier, Dan switched to a Ransom Demand, which had a little bit stronger layout. And we used stronger layouts and stronger balls down lane for Dan because of his high rev rate and high speed. We're able to use layouts that we wouldn't use on a lot of players. We definitely wouldn't use them on somebody like Chris Barnes. The layout that we used for Dan on the TV show was the same one that he used on Friday night. We actually drilled him a fresh ball for the TV show just to give him a different, fresher look. The ball that we used was a 40-degree mass bias angle, 4 3/4 pin from the PAP, and then 40-degree vertical axis angle. This gets the pin up in the air. We also use the hole to kind of help slow the ball down a little bit. We let his rev rate do all the work for him out there. Now, the ball that Chris Barnes used on TV was a little bit different than the one that he used throughout the entire week. In fact, I didn't see the outburst come out of his bag until the TV show. But with the TV lights and the high rev rates practicing for an hour before the show for Chris, really dried out the lanes. He needed a different look than what we had used all week, which was the Omen, which is quite a bit stronger than the outburst. So the outburst that he used on TV is a little bit different layout as well than he would normally use, but it's kind of a trick layout for him, and it really helps control the mid lane, but also gives him great continuation through the pins. We used a 105-degree mass bias angle, a 4.5-inch pin, and a 40-degree vertical axis angle. This gets the pin up above the ring finger in a strong position, but puts the CG in a negative spot for him. So it's a little bit of a trick layout, but something that works really well for Chris Barnes. Now, the Omen that he used throughout the entire week was really, really successful. He averaged really high with it, shot 806 in order to get onto the TV show, also with the 300. So this has been a great ball for Chris. He uses it a lot. It just, like I said, was a little bit too strong for the TV show. The layout that worked really well for him was putting the pin in kind of a weaker position. We used a 50-degree mass bias angle, a 5.5-inch pin, and a 40-degree vertical axis angle. And this helped get the ball to kind of slow down in the back of the lane because of the strong cover stock, but the pin helps it continue and be stronger down lane for him. So using this combination really worked all week, but on TV we had a little bit more success with this ball. Unfortunately, Chris wasn't able to win, but I think he's going to do great at the U.S. Open coming up, and we look forward to seeing you after a great U.S. Open here pretty soon. Thanks for tuning in, and bowl the world over.